Afternoon everybody, we're in sunny Bridge of Allen again, out to do a couple of videos. Welcome to Bushcraft, Scotland. So today I'm here with my mate Grant. I'm going to do a couple of videos and I wanted to show you in this video my Superlight Hammock setup. I've got the DD Superlight Hammock, the tarp and the bug net. Also wanted to have a quick look at my underquilt and also my sleeping bag. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to look at today is the Superlight tarp. I got this from DD directly. It's 2.9 by 3 meters, so it's not as big as the other DD tarps, but it only weighs 460 grams without the guy lines and the pegs. It comes with black guy lines with little line runners on it, but what I've done is I've actually replaced it with some really light Dyneema cord. It's not real Dyneema, but it's as light as Dyneema cord for the ridge line and the 4 guy lines. I'll show you a little bit more about that later. This is a brilliant bit of kit. I've had this and I've had the whole set since January this year. I got it for Christmas and it has done me so well. It's unbelievably light. I mean, that people say it can fit in your pocket. Unless you've got really big pockets, that's not actually realistic, but it is a really nice light bit of kit, and coupled with the hammock and the midgie net, it's an absolutely spot on hammocking kit. Let me just show you the hammock itself now. So this is the DD Superlight Hammock. Again, incredibly light. It's only 280 grams with the tree huggers and the whoopee slings and the soft shackle carabiners that come with it. It's about, what is it, 2.7 meters by 1.4 meters. So it's not the widest hammock. It's not the best for a diagonal lay, but it's very comfy and it comes with everything you need in the package for hammocking. And it goes really well with the midgie net. And this is the midgie net, again 2.7 by 1.4 long. This only weighs 180 grams, so between the whole kit it only weighs 900 grams, which is insanely small for a full hammocking kit. Once I add my sleeping bag and my summer sleeping bag and my underquilt, it's only about 2,800 grams, 2.8 kilos. And then if I add in my winter bag, which is the Snugpack Softy Expansion 3, that only brings it up to 3,100 grams or something, which is insanely light for a winter sleeping kit, for a winter hammocking kit. Keeps the bugs off you. In winter I'd probably take out the midgie net, because obviously it's totally unnecessary when you're in the winter, but I would add in my winter sleeping bag, which would make it up to about 3,100 grams. So let's have a look at how I go about setting it up. So we'll start with getting the hammock up first. The first thing that comes out the bag here, all comes in a really nice light stuff sack. First thing that comes out of the bag is the tree hugger straps that come with it. So what I'd usually do, I'm in between two trees which are quite close together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double wrap this round, and this, and it's only just meeting round this tree, and the tree's not very thick, so they're not the longest, but it will do for attaching your soft shackle carabiner through. And then that brings me to the next thing that comes out, which is the whoopee slings and the soft shackle carabiners. It comes all assembled, which is really useful, makes things nice and easy. Now if you haven't seen these things before, these are called soft shackle carabiners. I'll bring that a little bit closer so you can see if it'll focus on there. Try and get it to focus. So basically it's a loop of Dyneema which slides inside itself and has a loop at the end which is controlled by that little bead there. So what you do, if I'll just let these go for now, is you grab the bead and you squeeze the Dyneema, so the outer layer of the Dyneema shortens, which exposes more of the inner layer, and then this knot goes into the loop that's made like that, and that is then tightens up around it. So what you do, you'd untighten it, take the loop out, put it through your tree huggers, put it back in, and then squeeze it along the length, and that shuts down the loop at the end. So let's see how that works here. So it goes through the strap and the tree huggers, the knot goes back through the loop, and then from the knot end you squeeze all the way down to the loop. They recommend that you do that twice, and that tightens up the loop at the end that the knot's through and gives you a really nice carabiner effect there. That's not going anywhere. That'll happily take my weight several times over. I'm not a particularly big guy. We're about 14 stone, and that'll take me absolutely no bother. So I'm just going to hook up the other end at the other tree, and then we'll have a look at the mozzie net as well. So next up is the mozzie net. To be honest, it's a little bit of a pain to put on, especially if you forget to do it at the start or while you're putting up the hammock, because you have to take the hammock off the straps. So what happens is it's basically a sock of material that's stretched out like this. It's kind of a half moon shape. So what the first thing you want to do is you go from both ends. You've got this hole which tightens up, and this effectively will be on both ends of the hammock, and the rest will be stretched out over you. Underneath it's open, and it has these elasticated ties, and what that does is it tightens it round underneath the hammock and seals you off underneath. It creates a seal around the bottom of the hammock where your bum would be sticking down, and it allows you to lift it up, crawl inside and bring it down and tighten it up, and that means that you're totally sealed off. So what you want to do is get both ends together and put it on from one end of the hammock. If I can get these together, there we go. So I'm going to put the hammock through the end of this. So once you've done that, at one end you tighten it up to seal it round the top of the hammock. It should rest nicely against where the hammock meets the whoopee slings, and then you drag it along and you do exactly the same on the other end. So I'll do that just now. So that's the hammock sleeve over the hammock, the midgie net. You can see underneath here at this side is the elastic that draws it closed. But one thing that it does come with that I've not brought with me, I forgot to bring it, is a small ridge line which goes underneath from one end to the other and actually draws the hammock up like that, so it gives you a little bit more space. You know, hammocks like the DD front line and things, I've got the spreader bars at the top and an extra guy line to guy it out to the ends. This doesn't have that to keep the weight down, but in all honesty, I've found that the guy line that goes across the top, or the ridge line that goes across the top, is very short. It doesn't often reach both ends. So what I tend to do is I tend to get the extra from the whoopee slings and tie it in the middle, more towards one end, so it's not in your face. So you, whichever end your head is at, tie it at the other end, and that creates that ridge line. So I won't do that just now because I'm not actually going to use the midgie net tonight. I was just showing you, but that's how I would usually do it because that ridge line is a bit too short. So the next thing I would put on will be my underquilt. So I'll go and get that just now and I'll show you how that goes. So what I've got here is the OneTigris 3-season underquilt. I was going to go for the DD underquilt, but I didn't hear very good reviews about it. I heard it was very cold, that it compressed really easily and didn't give you the same insulation as other ones. But I looked online and I spoke to a few people, and this came up really highly recommended. So around kind of middle of January I bought this. It's phenomenal. It is the best underquilt I've ever used. I borrowed a lot of underquilts from a lot of people to try them out. This is by far the best one I've ever used. It only weighs about 750 grams, and as you can see, it packs up really small. I think it packs up about the same size as the DD underquilt, if a little bigger, but it is lighter. It has a windproof coating on it, which is great for when you're in a place like this. There's wind coming up this way. I would normally want to set my tarp quite high and quite open so I could get a nice view, but that does risk the bottom half of you getting cold as the wind goes past. This doesn't let that happen. This keeps all the heat in, it just sends the wind straight underneath you. And it's a brilliant bit of kit. So I'm just going to hook this up just now and show you how I do it. I actually broke one of the carabiners on it. It attaches by 2 carabiners, one at each end. I broke one of the carabiners on it last time I used it by sitting in it instead of the hammock. My fiance got a good laugh at that, but it did break the carabiner off it, so I'm just going to put a little wooden toggle in it, and that should hold it up. So I'll do that just now. So I don't know if you can see this, but as you can see, it's got a really nice kind of half moon shape. Sits perfectly under there. You can adjust it by wrapping it a little bit more around the ends, but it's just got the perfect amount of space in there. It's touching both sides of my hands, but I'm not compressing it in any way. And yeah, that's my setup. Perfectly warm, perfectly good. Again, it doesn't allow for a very good diagonal lay, but it does keep you nice and warm in the winter. So next up is my tarp, and I'll show you that just now. So here is the DD Superlight tarp that I showed you earlier. Let me show you a little bit of the modification I've done to this. What I've done is, as I said, I've added this ridge line on here. I'm going to show you how I attach that to both ends of the tree, and what happens is the hammock is just twisted up inside the bag. So what I do when I'm setting it up is I pull the toggle tight around the hammock so it stays in there while I'm putting the guy lines up, same way I believe MCQ Bushcraft did. So I'll just show you how that goes just now. So at the first end, all I do is a simple taut line hitch, as Joe Robin it says, 2 on the inside, 1 on the outside, and wrench it down. That will give me a knot that can slip back and forth if I need to tighten it or loosen it at this end. I won't, because of what I do at the other end, which I'll show you just now. So at this end, the first thing I'm going to do is about 12 inches from the tree, I'm going to make a bite, and I'm going to tie a loop like a trucker's hitch. It's a little bit fiddly because I've got the weight of the tarp sitting in the centre of that line there. But once that's done, once that looks like it's done, what I'm going to do is wrap the tail end around the tree. And then, whereas with a trucker's hitch you would normally just loop it through once, I'm actually going to loop it through twice. And Phil over at Red Stag Bushcraft showed me this one. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but what it does is when you wrench down on it, it actually holds its tension. So rather than you having to struggle to get it taut and then tie your hitch to keep it tight, you can pull this away like this, and it actually holds as is. Sorry, the framing's not very good there. Let me just show you that. So it holds as you pull it taut. And it means you've got a little bit of time. Make sure you've got your tension right before tying off with a little quick release knot there. And that is how I set up my ridge line. So I'm just going to get my tarp out the bag. As you can see here, it just hangs in the bag in the middle. Let me just put you down like this. So all you do is you pull out the bag like this. I've already got a few prusik knots on the loops there. This is just standard set up as an A-frame shelter, or it was. I don't think it is now. I've actually used it for a little Adirondack, so it's not set up as an A-frame. But all you do, slide your prusik out, slide the other one this way, and you're tight. So that's how I set up my tarp for winter camping. or summer camping. I get pretty cold at night, so I always put the underquilt underneath it, whether I'm in the thin sleeping bag or the thicker sleeping bag. But for 3 and change kilograms, I think that's a pretty lightweight setup. I cannot rate the DD Superlight range enough. It's a fantastic bit of kit. Just to let you know, I'm not sponsored by them at all. I do this, I've reviewed it for over maybe 8 months now. I've been using it, and it is a brilliant set, a brilliant bit of kit. So I hope you've enjoyed my video today. Remember to like, comment and subscribe, and hit the little bell so you get notifications when my videos come out. Thank you for joining me. This is Bushcraft Scotland, signing off.